Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to some of you, and peace out to the rest of you. Hit the share button because the message is more important than the messenger. It's easy for me to forget how many guys are still simps in the West. I'm obviously not one, and I don't live there anymore. But it's easy for me to forget. And it wasn't until I stumbled on one of Kalani Rogers' videos on YouTube. I'd seen him on Facebook, but it wasn't until I stumbled on one on YouTube and I saw the comments underneath that I said, this is too much. And for me, too much is at all. You know, just like some of these ladies say that if a guy's nice at all, he's too nice. There's not an acceptable or medium level. It's pretty much, once I see that he's nice, I doubt his manhood. Well, I'm like that when it comes to simping. The minute you say, oh, you so cute, you so fine, and you so sexy, and then you got a sense of humor, I say, you're done. Done. You know these are skits because women that look like that don't have that kind of sense of humor. They just don't. And they don't flirt like that. They can't. In the West, absolutely they can't. It's not something that they can bring themselves to do because, see, we know that they suffer from low self-esteem. So what is the reason that they can't bring themselves to flirt like that? Well, that's easy. They can't bring themselves to flirt because if they have low self-esteem, it just means that they think even less of you. And that's what it is. There's a contempt, a very low boiling contempt. And it's at a subconscious level when they're young, but I think they get more conscious as they get older and they decide they're going to stay on it. But how do we get or de-incentivize simping? I think I have an answer. When we get to these comments that, you know, we all know someone that simps. And simping is just you validate a woman that don't know nothing about you, don't care nothing about you. That's enough right there. We all know someone that'll do it. So what do? I got it. I know what to do. You say to them, look, man, save up your money, get a passport. It doesn't cost that much. I'm going to take you down to DR, CR, BR. And I'm not telling you to take him down there so that you fornicate with her and he fornicates with a friend. I'm saying that take him there so that he gets to see firsthand that women can look gorgeous and they can still have a good attitude. Because that's what you gentlemen are reporting. And I know that this does happen because I was married to one such in North Africa. First time I married outside the U.S. That's what it was like. Gorgeous. Take the finest MILF and remove the attitude that you know she would have in the U.S. or the U.K. and replace it with domestic skills and femininity. Yeah. That's what that was like. The government hadn't stepped in, we'd still be a couple. I want you all to think about that. They are not playing with you in the West. You and I know this because you're in my audience. And I'm in some of your audiences too. But how do we wake the simps up? And I've come to understand that although I really don't agree with simping, I do understand the lack of options that a simp perceives. And of course, that's a subconscious thing too, because it's a lack of knowledge as opposed to a knowledge that you ignore. They're not making a comparison contrast and saying, American women's so much better. They're not making one because they don't really think about women beyond where they live. And understandably so, because they associate that with a long distance relationship. But we got to sit up and say to them, look, we in the audience have to say, listen, we know firsthand and secondhand from others, we know that when you get outside the West, outside the first world, women look like this regularly and they know how to behave and they know how to treat you. If you ain't her type, she just leaves you alone. She doesn't bother you. She don't tell someone else not to rock with you. But if you are her type, she gets with you. And and she can cook and clean, and she may even have a job and she can do these things. She does not hate you. She does not have a contempt for you. You're not a piece of crap to her because you're a guy and you might come faster than she does. This is very necessary to understand. And this is very necessary to say to them. Save up for 9 months, bruh. Get your passport. I'm going to show you. Because until that day comes, until someone says to them in a kind manner, oftentimes, just assuming that they didn't know. Well, man, what about the women down there? And I heard no, bro, that's not true. I know dudes that done traveled, and you can even put in your own experience. No, that's not true. Those are limited areas. Because see, a lot of us look at Rio, we think that Rio is either a tour. We think it's just the tourist areas and the slums. And then that becomes not only Rio, but all of Brazil. Because, that's the conditioning that you see on the media. I mean, Dominican Republic, you think it's just, okay, hotels on the beach and then ghettos. But no, Dominican Republic it's everything. The good, the bad, the ugly, the medium in between. I've traveled. Been to Malaysia twice. I've actually passed by some slums. I think they were slums. They were just, I wouldn't even say slums, but they were poor. I passed by them, but they weren't dangerous. There was one that was right next to the high-rise apartment in which I was staying. It wasn't dangerous. It was poor, but it wasn't dangerous. So with that being said, with that being said, I'm pretty much telling you that sometimes we just got to let them know that no, these things are not that bad, and I ain't taking you nowhere that's going to be that dangerous. How the hell either of us are going to come out alive if that's the case? They got us fooled on they're banking on all of us not doing exactly this. That's what's going on. Now imagine when you start to tell them that, man, look, they got sisters in BR and Colombia that are taking English language courses because there are more American brothers going down there and they want to rock with us. They like us and we like them. And see, the other thing too is that you showed them the video of that lady that was talking about, I'll go down there too and be speaking Portuguese and I'll take your man. For one, these nationalities are not that possessive of either gender. Just don't go down there dogging out the opposite gender and they cool. That's generally how the men and the women view it. He's free to be with someone else. But the other thing too is that if she goes down there and takes one of those men and then brings that man back to the States with her, for one, she's not going to want that man. That's the first thing. Women don't want to do that sort of thing. The other thing to understand is that these men are not going down there to bring those women back to the States because they ain't trying to ruin them. The women are going to want to go down and try to bring the men back to the States with them because that's where she's got the power and the control. And that's why it's going to be a different dynamic. Those men might very well take her up on that and say, yeah, okay, cool. You still a demanding and controlling B word. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go. And if I can tolerate your butt for 5 years and I get the passport, then I bring my real wife and kids up there. He may even work the law to his favor. Yeah, she was abusive, so y'all can't deport me. I'm divorcing her after 3 years. but y'all can't deport me now. I get to stay and then become a citizen at the end of the 5th year because she was abusive to me. And if they frame it right, it could be convincing. It's a different dynamic. These women can't do what men do, and we men can't do what women do. But we're going to have to say to these simps, I mean, on one hand, I do believe in isolating them financially and socially, absolutely. But I do also believe in offering them a chance to learn what they didn't know before. Because in all honesty, women make sure that most men remain inexperienced for a reason. They know what they're doing. That's part of the game, and it works. It's a very effective one. You're not experienced with women. There's certain things you will not know, and they're going to utilize that if they can. And most men will not be that experienced with women. Jaded Creep, a YouTuber, did a video a year ago about that, and the video was actually titled, "Men Need Women More Than Women Need Men." Now, psychologically speaking, that's debatable. In terms of infrastructure and to live, no, that's not, the title's not true. But one fact he reported from a study was that average looking women, how do you judge how average they are? By men. Women look average to men had far more experience in male-female relationships than men that were handsome and attractive to women. Did you hear that? So that means even out of the men that women want visually, you still have a small percentage that have all this experience. Because see, there's got to be some dudes that have got, since most dudes don't have this as much experience as women, that means you got to have a small number of dudes that make up all these women's experiences, right? Yes. So that means that when you get into the numbers of just the ones that the women visually want when they first see them, you still got to start cutting out large swaths of these men. That means it's even worse than we thought. Uh-oh. That's nasty. And we know that when these women get with men they want, they have no sexual self-control. That's when they conceive in many cases. So although they may be aborting, the fact remains that when they choose not to and they choose to carry to term, they're still probably making those choices for the same few men. What do you think that's going to do genetically? Got a few men surviving into the next generation. All these kids are sired by a few men. You're going to have unintentional siblings coupling up. Unknowingly. You'll start to see the effects of that in the grandchildren's generation. You'll see a rise in deformities. Mental and physical. That's what they're doing in the West. And one of the ways they're doing it is by shutting out the majority. So simps, we have to remember, simps come from the majority of men. They may be a majority because they come from the majority of men who are shut out and intentionally left inexperienced so that they can be gamed and conned and scammed later. That's why you've got these fat single moms with these dating profiles, starting off with what they ain't gonna tolerate and what they ain't gonna deal with. You can see the head rolling and the fingers snapping and the eyes rolling when in the first few lines of what they're saying. You can hear it. They're all looking the same, and it's by design. Because they were intentionally shutting out the majority of men so that there would be inexperienced guys, a plethora of them, some of whom would become outright simps. Then they could come back later and say, I'm a single mother of 5 kids. They come first. You better not have no other bitches. That's why they're doing it. That's why they're doing it. So when you are, when that man that you see that's a simp based on inexperience or based on even too much difficulty to acquire the experience that he has had. And again, I'm saying this as a man that doesn't believe in fornication. But based on the women's own standards, since the women don't have a problem with fornication, too much difficulty he has to face to get the experience that he does have. When you see that, They have set that up by design so that they can come back later when they're fat with 5 kids and talk about what they ain't gonna tolerate, what kind of grown real men the man's gotta be, and not have no other B words and be making a whole lot of money and taking care of her and these kids from other men, and ain't none of these kids' daddies gotta do nothing. That's your job. He did what he supposed to do. He broke my back. You paid a tab. It's by design. So that they could all come back with the same damn dating profiles and find somebody. So it's our job as guys to know, though we do need to socially and financially isolate them when it is proven that someone's a simp and they're going to stay on that stuff, we should also, to balance that out, make sure that we offer, in case they didn't know, make sure we offer them something else. Let them know what's been kept away from them. Because they ain't been listening to enough dudes. There was a time dudes didn't talk about this enough, so who was there to listen to? Except for the broads. All the broads did was sit up and cluck, cackle. These men, abuse, beatings, deadbeats. And then these guys thought it was the case. They've only had these women to listen to all this time. Don't know about these spaces. I didn't know about it for a long time. I didn't know about a black manosphere till about 2018, I think. Stop and think about that. Didn't know much about it till 2019. How long has it been going on? Years of my life wasted too. If I'd heard this stuff in if I'd heard about this stuff, let's say 2004, I think things would have been a lot different. If I had heard about this in 2002, 2002, it would have been vastly different. I could have used this. If I'd heard about this before I got married the first time, I may have never got married. It's possible. I needed this information back in the 90s. If I had known, I would have been able to plan the family the way my parents did. It just would have been abroad. I would have known, okay, you know what? I got to live outside the country. So what's the best way to do that? Either foreign service, U.S. foreign service, but then you're beholden to the States and I'm not doing that. Or, teaching abroad. And I would have planned this career much earlier in life. Absolutely, I would have. That was a problem. I didn't have access to this info. I didn't become a simp, but in order to not be a simp back when I wasn't one, but that I didn't know about the space, I had to be willing to be a jerk. And to a certain extent, I was. I also had to be willing to be perceived as insane by some people. So we should go ahead and let the simps that we know what the other option is. And you do it when you catch them in the act of simping and you question them and you say, hey man, I saw that comment you left under that broad's picture. I wasn't following that broad. I was following you. Just reading up on you, see how you doing. And it comes up, you left a comment under here and there you go. Oh, look at that. I tapped that all. Bruh, she ain't thinking about you. You just another like button to her. You just another simp validating her, trying to get her attention. That's all you are to her. That's all you ever gonna be to her. She don't know you and she don't rate you like that. Why don't you have some respect for yourself? Save up some money for 9 months, get a passport, and I'm gonna show you something different. And no, it ain't gonna be no slums and nothing like that. We're talking school teachers, attorneys. We're talking tour guides. We're talking, ladies that have real jobs. And when they're interested in you, they're going to treat you like it. So come on, man. Let's That's what you open that door to them. And then if them niggas are still simps after that, you got every right to shut them dudes out of everything and to tell everybody else, man, this dude is a simp. You don't want to go into business with that man because he'll throw all your money and your investment away behind some punani. That's how you want to tell them. So anyway, that being said, thanks a million for listening. Black all, black mind, blackout, assalamu alaikum, and black heterosexual non-select male power because they don't like it in black patriarchy till extinction or judgment day.